In this video, we're scratch building a railway station dated 1903 in H0-scale using the powerful new Creality Falcon 2 22-watt laser cutter.
Hello and welcome to a tutorial in which we will build the Tullinge train station. Since I started construction of my first layout back in 2001, I set my mind to do this station. I will build it. So I started to scratch build it and did engrave the patterns in the wall and everything, but it didn't look very well. So I scrapped it. This is my second attempt. I built this 7 years ago. So I took windows from a kit, but it's it's all the wrong windows, and the wrong doors. So it looks almost nothing like the real station. And also the geometry of all the pieces, the roof pieces, and is so complex. So I couldn't get it together. This is as far as I got 7 years ago. But tonight we're going to build this station because I have now acquired one of the Creality Falcon 2 22-watt laser cutter to do the job of cutting out the pieces I need to build this station. And the geometry, I will figure that out in the CAD system. So I get the station in 3D, and that way I will finally be able to scratch build this station with some modern aids. And the good thing is with this laser cutter that once you got everything up, you got all the pieces in the system, then you can produce kits or offer the files to other people as well. So this is a very interesting development, and these laser cutters are really coming down in price. So now I would say it's not more than an expensive drilling machine. So here goes.
So here's the beauty, Creality Falcon 2, ultra fast and the powerful laser cutter. It cuts up to 50mm in wood and up to 25,000mm per minute. It's both an engraver and cutter, and it reads G-code files, either from a laptop or from a thumbnail drive like here. New with the Falcon 2 is the groundbreaking air assist. The airflow is monitored on the laser head and can be adjusted with the knob in the side. The light flow can also be controlled by sending comments through the console directly in Lightburn. Now, once you have placed your piece of basswood or whatever you're engraving, you need to adjust the height of the laser head. To help you with that, this tool is provided with the laser cutter, and it has different heights for different material thicknesses and type of material. So you insert that under the laser head, loosen the screws, so you adjust the head accordingly, and then you tighten the screws again, and once you complete it, remove it. So once I placed my piece of basswood in the printer, I pressed the bottom frame, and then the laser head will show me where it will engrave and cut, so I can fine adjust the position of the printout so it matches the wood. When done, I press start, and then the cutout and engraving process will start. Now in this project it just engraves with one power, 20%. But for your projects you can use different powers in different areas and thereby get different heights, and by that getting kind of 3D effect in the engraved areas. Now it's doing the cutout and our piece is ready. Now, of course, if you place a larger piece of wood into your cutter, you can cut out and engrave multiple items at once. So the Falcon 2 allows for mass production of whatever you're creating. Then of course I had to check how thick material can I cut with this cutter. And yeah, I tried with 12, that was no problem, and then I tried with 18, and I assumed that it would cut through that as well actually. But as you see, the laser has a fixed focus point, and the further down in the material you get, the wider the cut will be. Now, the main reason for us model railroaders to buy a laser cutter is to do scratch built models of actual buildings which are not available as kits. And this is my project, Tullinge Station, and I acquired drawings for the station. And I want to say a word about that, because I got these drawings from the Landsarkivet to keep tracks of all the buildings built. And if you look into the drawings, they are not at all like the real thing. Here's a photo. And the reason for that was that the architectural drawings was just taken as a recommendation for the guys who's actually doing the building work. So with that said, get both pictures and drawings for the objects you intend to do. I'm a fan of Fusion 360, it's a CAD program, and into this program I load this drawing as a canvas. And on the canvas then I draw rectangles, which matches the cutout for the windows and the doors. So when ready, the front side looks like this. So now we got our first sketch which the laser cutter will cut out. And like this I'm progressing through all the walls in this building, and you can see them here assembled in 3D. But let's go back to that 2D and this sketch here, and we're gonna save that as a DXF. And a DXF is a vectorized graphic format. So we're gonna load that DXF file into another program, application, which is called Lightburn. And this Lightburn program will add information about what the laser cutter should do. Should the line be engraved or should it be a cut through? And how high speed do we want on the fan at this very moment? So you can set up different profiles. I have a profile here for engraving, and then I have this profile for cutting. And since we're just doing cutting here at 700 millimeters per minute and at 100% laser power, all the lines will be assigned to cutting. And once we feel happy with our settings, we click on the preview button here. And you see you have a progress bar down here, and you slide that and you can see then what the laser cutter will do and in which order it will do things. And as said earlier, it's a good rule of thumb to do engraving ahead of cutting. But since we're just doing cutting, this is the way we want it to be. So then I just click on Save G-code and select a file name for that. And I save it to a thumbnail drive, which I insert into the laser cutter and turn the cutter on. Now, if you look at the wood you buy, the wood is typically warped. Since the laser wants a consistent distance to the material, because that will generate the best result, I'm using paper tape or carpenter's tape, just taping it down. Another word of advice is to buy this cover. This cover also have a ventilation exhaust, so it has a fan which evacuates any odors out through this tube, which you can just put outside the window. Now we're cutting wood, so it's not a big issue here, but if you do a lot of cutting, this gets kind of annoying. So the hood with this ventilation fan is a very good investment, and it's something you need to buy separate. Alright, so now my cutout is running here. And the wall pieces was completed in less than 10 minutes. Alright, so I checked the dimensions, because I have a dimension I set in the CAD, and if I look at the cutted piece here, I can see that it cuts away 0.1 millimeter on each side. So every piece will be 0.2 millimeter smaller than you design them in the CAD systems. And likewise, the holes for the windows will be 0.2 millimeter wider and taller than you designed them. But hey, look at this. We're talking perfection here. Time to get these painted. And for this, I'm using acrylic paint. And this station originally was brown, so I'm going for a chocolate brown. And I thin the paint with water and isopropanol to get a kind of transparent look, so you can see the wood through the paint. Now, when painting wood with anything, it doesn't matter if it's water-based or if it's any kind of solvent, it will warp. On on the side you paint it, because it will absorb the liquid and expand. But don't worry, this will go back when it dries, so this wall section here will be flat once we assemble the window. Well, talking about windows, I don't know if you remember the first video I made on 3D print. One of the first thing I did on that was windows for this station. But since then, this project has been standing still. Now, however, I got the windows and doors printed out, and here they are post-cured, and I've also applied a layer of primer on every surface of them. Now it's time to paint them, and for that I'm using white acrylic paint, which I apply using an airbrush, and that will typically give you the best result, and also it's the fastest way to do this. The windows are glued in place using fast set glue. I'm using this from Loctite. It works nicely on wood, but for 3D printed resin parts it's not all that great. For those I rather would recommend the Sapagap from Pacer Technology, which is a really good cyanoacrylate fast set glue. So now we got all the windows in place, but before we start assembly of walls to this bottom plate, we're gonna paint this side using Vallejo concrete color. Now the walls should not be assembled at the bottom of this bottom plate, but 4 millimeters up. So I'm adding a standoff, or actually I'm just holding my steel scale, so I have my 4 millimeter there, and then I glue it in place using fast set glue. So now the walls are assembled to the bottom plate, at least some of them. Then I start to paint the inside walls with white. I am still waiting for some information about what this station looked like inside. I do have some photos from the old section of the station, but not very much information at all. So I will wait with the interior until I have information of what it actually looked like. Meanwhile, I'm painting everything inside white, just to give a natural foundation for later detailing work. So here it is now, all the walls in place. We can then assemble the knot boards, which I don't think it is the correct English word for it, but it's this board which is in the corners of all wooden buildings. And I'm using northeastern scale lumber, 1 by 6 inch, and I put them flat on my table and I paint them all at once in white acrylic paint. And once dry, I cut them to length, and then I glue them in place using fast set glue. Like this, without getting stuck myself. And with this done, I'm loading the roof sections onto my thumbnail drive, inserting that into my cutter, and the cutter is cutting the roof for us too. So here are all the roof pieces. I cutted them out all at once in one sheet, and I also engraved the name of the piece, because with the wall pieces I found it's kind of tricky to solve the puzzle when all the pieces are lying around on the table. And the covering of the roof, it will be a tiled roof according to the prototype, is made from wood glue or PVA glue. And I make these as a mold on a Folmer 6032, but I intend to make a 3D model myself, a plate later, because these ones from Folmer is poorly detailed and has this kicker surface in the middle, so it's a kind of round ring in the middle of the roof, which is kind of annoying. Once it's dry, I peel it off using just my hands like this, and it comes off very nicely. If you have issues with that, there are some special film you can spray on which helps you to release things easier. And now it's time to get started on the roof. So I have also some support structures which I have cut out, which will hold the roof in place. Now here comes the first piece, and then the top piece of the amendment, which was made in 1932. This is the old piece of the house, which was built 1903. And I joined those together, and then it looks like this. So now we're ready to add those tile sheets, which we molded in wood glue. But I must say I'm very happy with how this turns out, and I've made multiple attempts to build this station, but the geometry has been so complex, so I've failed every time. But now with the laser cutter it works like a charm. And then it occurred to me I could have used the laser cutter also to cut these tile sheets out, which I made from glue. Once I assemble these, I assemble them using the same type of glue that I used to mold them, meaning wood glue or white glue. And then I spread it with a wide flat brush, and then I press it in place on the roof. And once done, it looks like this. So now here's the last piece. It's the old section of the station, which gets the front roof here with tiles. And once all pieces are covered, it's time to paint. And the tiled roof on this station was orange. And to get the right orange color, I'm mixing acrylic orange with white and 1 drop of brown. And then I'm just using the same chocolate brown I used previously to paint the station. And then I'm just painting 2 layers of this on top of the tiled roof. So this gives it a kind of intense orange look. But no worries about that. We will weather it in a moment and then it will look better. But there is one thing we need to do ahead of that, and that is to add the roof ridge. And the roof ridges are 3D printed. It comes from one of those sets. I think it's Villa Skommartorp. And here's the chimney. So I glue that on using facet glue, and then I add roof ridge to that. And once the roof ridge is in place, I just paint it in using same orange paint as I used to cover the tiled roof, like this. And then you can leave it to dry and then mix a wash. This wash contains from 1 part black, 1 part brown, and then like 10 parts water alcohol. And yeah, it looks kind of worrying at this point, but once we wipe most off using a piece of bathroom tissue, it will look better. Make sure though to wipe it off in vertical straight movements, no circular movements or things like that. So it gives a kind of impression that it's been running along with the tiles. So now we got the contrast up and the orange down a bit. So we're doing the same thing on the main roof, including the chimney. And same thing here. Once we got it on, then take a piece of bathroom tissue and wipe as much as you can off from the roof. Alright, so now I really like the way this station is coming together after all these years. And the good part is, as I said earlier, that now once I have the geometry ready and the G-code file ready for this station, it's quite possible to offer this as a kit. So with Falcon 2, you can start your own business delivering new laser kits to the market. And this is what the station looks like at this stage. A lot of details is yet to be added, like gutters and all the other parts, but I will leave that to a later video, super detailing a station like this. But for now, this is very nice. I'm super happy with the result. It has a natural touch to it, even though it's laser cut.
Awesome, right? I don't think you think it's half as awesome as I think, because this station has been on my mind for so long, so it was like, I have to do it. But then there was this question about the laser lens too, because over time you need to replace this lens, and I know that in some systems it's kind of impossible. But in this Falcon 2 22 watt, it's really easy. Check it out.
Replacing the lens in the laser cutter head is necessary after many hours in duty, and it's kind of easy. You just remove this protective plastic part, and then this brass screw is removed with your fingers. It's not so hardly tightened, it's kind of easy to remove, and then you just pick the lens and that O-ring away. A new lens is provided with the printer, so you just need to remove the protection plastic on each side, and then again assemble the O-ring back, and then just tighten the brass screw, and then reassemble the plastic piece, and then you're ready to reassemble the laser head.
All right, so that was about it. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial. I hope I've whetted your appetite to get one of these laser cutter. There will for sure be more kits being built here on my address, and maybe on yours as well. Christmas coming up, so why not? A proper Christmas gift. And hey, if you have useful information provided on the channel here, get on to Patreon, set up a support account there from, like $1-2 per month, or $100 if you like, or make a one-off donation using the PayPal dialog found in the video description below. And if you're not yet subscriber, subscribe to the channel and enable that little bell next to the subscription button, and you will get a notification once next video gets published. Until that happens, see you.